What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the Heat Report. Welcome back to a brand new video where we talk all things Miami Heat basketball. In today's video, we're going to be talking about 5 questions the Miami Heat need to answer in order to be prepared for next season. Now, this, will not include the generic ones like who's going to re-sign, who's going to get traded. Like, it's not going to include any of those, type of generic questions, because those are questions that we've all been asking for. This is more to do with, the lineups, the schemes, the fits, a bunch of other stuff like that. So make sure you guys grab your popcorn if you guys are not allergic to popcorn, which I know some people are. And stay tuned throughout this episode for the 5 questions that I think the Miami Heat have to answer. Now, before we get into it, make sure you guys, as always, leave a like, subscribe, comment down below. You guys have absolutely been killing it. We're very close to 800 subscribers, so make sure you guys show all that love you guys have been showing, and comment down below your video suggestions and everything else you guys want to comment down below. Please use that comment section. I really want to interact with the community. So now that we have that out of the way, Bam Adebayo, shout out to him committing to Team USA. And apart from that, I don't really think there's much to talk about as far as generic news going on. So let's get into the video. So the first questions that the Miami Heat, in my opinion, have to figure out the answer for is, how much are they going to rely on the trapping defense for next year? Now, this also goes into switching. Trapping and switching kind of go hand in hand, in my opinion, because what the Miami Heat really relied on last year was when an elite ball handler was at the top of the key. A lot of times the Miami Heat would send Bam and the defender who's on the ball handler and blitz, trap, or either switch the pick and roll. Now, obviously, blitzing and trapping, the downsides to this is that if it was a very good passer, which is what we saw against the Mavericks, Luka Doncic was able to find Tim Hardaway Jr. wide open 3 after wide open 3 in the corner, in the wing, whatever, because we were setting 2 bodies at him. Now, the downside towards switching is that not only, Bam Adebayo is an amazing defender on anyone. I trust him to guard 1 through 5 on anyone in the NBA. I do not have a problem with Bam guarding guards, no problem whatsoever. The only problem with switching 1 through 5 is whoever is switched onto the big down low is exposed, and we saw that. The game that I vividly remember is the Clippers game, where Zubac absolutely destroyed us down low, because we kept switching the pick and roll and we kept putting smaller guards on their center. So that has to be figured out, the defensive issue. We were still the top defense in the NBA. We managed to be a top defense in the NBA, but we have to figure out what our scheme is going to be next year, how often we're going to rely on the trapping situation, the blitzing, the switching. We love to switch. We switch everything. So, how often we're going to do that? Like, I love when we switch and then whenever they try to feed the big, we send 2 out there and force a turnover. That's really good defense. But there's sometimes where we just leave the guard on an island against a big, or when we trap, we just leave a shooter wide open. So we have to figure that out, the defensive scheme, the trapping, switching, blitzing. And then number 2 is on offense, is how often we're going to rely on the dribble handoff. Now, obviously, Pat Riley came out in his exit interview and said that he wants Spo to reevaluate how he uses Bam, and I do think that this is probably an indication of the amount of dribble handoffs he has Bam running. I do think that whenever we are on offense, it's always Bam creating shots for others, and we're not really creating shots for Bam, and that's kind of unacceptable because he is our all-star. We have to get him involved. He's very talented. I do think he has another jump to go to. We always call him no ceiling because I do think that his ceiling is unpredictable. Like, we don't know what he can be, but we know that he can be something really special. So we have to utilize him as in the best way we can. We have to unleash him. We have to let him loose, per se, and that might have to decrease the amount of dribble handoffs to do so. The dribble handoffs are a big part of our offense, but last season, when we made it to the finals, a lot of people were taken by surprise because A, no one really knew about Bam and his passing ability, and B, no one really knew about our shooters like Tyler, Duncan. These guys were all, Tyler was a rookie and no one knew about Duncan, no one knew about Kendrick. So when we made it to the finals, it was a big surprise. But the year after, like this year, a lot of people were able to figure out our dribble handoff led offense, which is why our offensive rating was one of the worst in the NBA. So we have to figure out what we do in order to maximize not just Bam, but the whole offense in general, because a lot of times when our dribble handoff is not there, we are wasting about 15 to 20 seconds on the shot clock just trying to find a shooter, and we just have to burp up a contested two or a contested jumper. So yeah, we do have to figure out how often we're going to run the dribble handoff next year, especially because it impacts Bam a lot. And yeah, that's something we're going to have to answer as well. The third question that I have written down is, who is going to be the starting backcourt next year? Now, obviously, a lot of this will be depending on who we sign in free agency, but I have a feeling that, one of the backcourt players are going to be people who are already on the team, and we have to figure out who that is. Now, going through the options so far on our team right now, this is not including any potential free agents. Kendrick Nunn was our starting point guard last year for most of the season. I think the Miami Heat are probably going to let him walk, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I think that Kendrick Nunn is more likely to be let go than Duncan Robinson, in my opinion. Because like I said last video, and like I've been saying, Kendrick Nunn is a very well-rounded player, but Duncan Robinson is a specialist. And in today's day and age, being a specialist means a lot more than just being a jack of all trades, especially if you're a specialist at shooting the ball. Teams would pay a lot of money for that. So I think Duncan will probably re-sign with the Heat. I think the Heat will match an offer. I think Kanon is probably going to leave. So let's say we eliminate Kanon. Okay, like hypothetically, Kanon is gone. He's no longer the starting point guard. Already we have a void to fill. Who's going to be the starting point guard? Now, I don't think Dragic can do that if he's still on the team next year, because I just think he's getting up there in age. I don't really think his body can handle the toll of that anymore. I think that he's a sixth man now. That's his role on any team, not only this team. So I don't trust Dragic. And the only other guards on our team is A, Tyler Hero, or B, anyone else we sign in free agency, because it's not going to be Gabe Vincent or anyone else like that. So it's really going to have to be, I think it's going to have to be Tyler or a guy we signed in free agency in the point guard position. Shooting guard position, same thing. I think it's either Tyler, Duncan, or a guy we signed in free agency. So Tyler or Duncan will start, but don't be surprised if we don't get anyone and you see both of them starting. So yeah, we have to figure out the backcourt issue of who we're going to start. We were changing our starting lineup a lot in the start of last season, and a lot of that was due to injuries and stuff like that, but we have to get a consistent lineup right out the bat. Like, the front court is very easy to predict. You have Jimmy, Bam, and then you have a front court player paired alongside Bam. Hopefully we can get him, but the backcourt is very unpredictable. That's why I put the backcourt in particular down. The fourth question that the Miami Heat have to answer is, what or when is the issue of getting a consistent scorer going to be fixed? And by consistent scorer, I mean a guy who can take the pressure off of Jimmy and Bam. Now, obviously, when Jimmy is not scoring and Bam is not scoring, we really lack that number 3 consistent option. Now, in the playoffs, when we made it to the finals, it was Goran Dragic, and we still had Tyler Hero chipping in off the bench. But this year, Dragic has regressed because of injuries and because of his age, and Tyler has not really become that 20-point per game scorer that we need him to be yet. So who is that third option going to be? Who is that consistent scorer going to be? The Heat have to figure that out. Whether it's Tyler, whether it's someone that we sign in free agency, that has to be answered. That is a very, very big hole. I think it's probably one of our biggest holes on this team, is getting a guy who can get their own basket, be a consistent scorer if Jimmy and Bam are not getting theirs, if they're really quiet, if they're having off night. You need some guy to pick up the slack, and hopefully we address that issue in the off season and come back with the guy on our roster who is built for that next season. So that is the fourth, and the last one, the fifth question that I think has to be answered for the Heat is, how long are we planning to give the young guys? Now, by the young guys, Precious Achiuwa, KZ Okpala, and Tyler Hero are the young guys. Now, I do not count Gabe Vincent or Max Strus. They're two-way players, so they're not really part of the young core, if you ask me. I mean, they are, but technically, they're not really trade pieces that we're supposed to be trading away in a package if we're trying to get a star. So Precious Achua, KZ Okpala, and Tyler Hero are the 3 young guys on this team. If we're talking about youth, Bam is a young player, but Bam does not really need to. We don't have to be patient with Bam because Bam is already an all-star. I'm talking about guys who haven't really shown what they can become in this league yet. Like Tyler has shown a lot of flashes, but we don't really know what Tyler's finished product is. Precious Achua has shown, some flashes, but he's had a very up and down rookie season. He wasn't, all rookie team, any of that, and he's still a project. KZ Okpala, it's been 2 years since he's gone drafted, and he's barely been getting playing time. So how long are we going to give these guys? When is the time where you say, listen, there's a guy available that we can get, and we're gonna have to part ways with these guys, even though we really like them. They're just not really contributing to what we need to do. And I think the Heat have to make that decision soon. They have to make a timetable, and they probably already have a rough idea of when, to get rid of these guys if they need to. But I think it has to be very sooner than later if, these guys are not pulling up trees, or if they're not really doing anything that's necessary of them to be doing. Like Jimmy Butler is 32 or 31, about to be 32. I know, like I was really bad with the Brandon Ingram age, so do not quote me on this. I'm doing this off the top of my head. Jimmy Butler, in my mind, is either 31 or 32. I know he's one of the two things. He's 31. So Jimmy Butler is 31 years old. He's about to be 32 on September 14th. So he's going to be 32 by the time the season starts. And by the time the season starts, he's probably going to have 2, 3, 4 years at max at his, full potential left. In those 4 years, you want to waste his prime, or do you want to build a perfect team around him? And that's what the Heat have to figure out. Because, yeah, it's cool to keep these young guys and be a team that can sneaky be a contender, but not really. And especially with the Nets being at full strength next year, we got to compete with the Nets, man. We got to compete with all these teams, And it might have to be trading away a Tyler, or trading away a Precious, or trading away a KZ if we can get a star in return. So that is the last question that I have for the Heat to figure out, and hopefully they do that. Apart from that, I think that's probably it. Note, I'll probably be uploading a video on my second channel soon about my mock draft, because the draft lottery odds just came out. Not the odds, the results just came out, and I'm a big college basketball guy. So, I consider myself a guy who loves college basketball, and I always do every year like my 6 favorite prospects. Maybe I'll do a video about that. And yeah, I'll do a lot of draft stuff on my second channel, and because the Miami Heat don't really have a pick this year, I will try to do a video probably where I talk about guys who are undrafted the guys who are going to be undrafted that we can get. But I'll probably have to do that closer to the draft, because the big boards and the mock drafts usually change. So I'm going to be basing the undrafted players based off of those, because I don't know who's going to be undrafted. Or I could probably wait until after the draft. You guys can let me know. So stay tuned for the mock draft video on my second channel. I'll leave the link in the description below of my second channel, and I'll pin the comment. So it should be not that hard to find. So yeah, that's going to be it for me though. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Please make sure you guys leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below, and show some love on the channel, man, as always, as you guys have been doing. The growth on the channel has been insane, so it's been really fun to watch, and we're very close to 800 subscribers. Like, we went from 700 to 800 in like 2 days, so that was crazy. So yeah, man, I'll see y'all later. As always, enjoy your day. Peace.